Hey, dudes and dudettes, welcome to Just a Dude Podcast. I'm Nathan, just a regular guy talking life, grit, and everything in between. Today we've got a legit champion in the house, 12-time national champion boxer, motivational speaker, and all-around awesome dude, Cham Awesome. We're diving into his wild journey and how he turned setbacks into straight-up victories. From getting bullied to captaining Team USA boxing, Cham's got stories that'll make you laugh, think, and maybe even throw a punch at life's obstacles. Let's get into this. All right, Cham, welcome to the show. So just to start things off a little simple, who's Cham Awesome, and how'd you go from Lenroy Thompson to legally becoming Cham F. Awesome?
For $200, you could be whoever you want.
That's what I figure. You could change your name, pretty easily, but there's got to be a story behind that, right, Cham?
Yeah, story is basically it's a story. I was trying to create a story in my head. So, and I say this now in hindsight, now that I get to look back at my story, but I've won 12 national championships. I've been captain of Team USA for over 10 years. I've represented Team USA in over 30 countries. I've done so many cool things, and I did it by manipulating the story I told myself. I was bullied in elementary school, and it was pretty bad. I had to leave school 10 minutes early so I could get home before he got to me.
Oh, man.
And that walk home was embarrassing because, I know why I'm leaving early. Like I'm telling myself I'm a loser, I'm a punk, I'm afraid. And that became the story I told myself. And I developed this, I didn't know what anxiety was at the time, but this fear of altercations, interactions, people. And in high school, I got into altercation. Well, it was said I got beat up by a girl. I got into an
Okay.
altercation by a girl, but the way things spread in high school,
Of course,
that's the
I know.
story.
Yeah, how kids are so cruel in high school, especially, middle school, high school. Yeah, of course they're going to say, oh, yeah, they spin it, right, to make us look even worse.
Yeah. And it did not help my confidence because it was like my first week of high school. I decided like I was tired of being afraid all the time. And I thought if I joined the boxing gym, did the workout, I'd look like a boxer. And if I looked like a boxer, I'd be safe. I'm still to this day, I'm very non-confrontational. I thought it would protect me.
Yeah, kind of like a self-defense mechanism, right? If you look the part, people will think the part.
Yeah. And people thought the part. And here's where I started to think the part. My boxing gym was 6 miles away from my high school.
Oh, wow.
So this was like a 3-hour walk every day after school.
Yeah, because I have to assume, especially when you just started high school, you're not driving, right? You probably don't have a car. Parents, if your parents are there, if they, or whoever's taking care of you, they probably can't get you there all the time, right? So that's a struggle in itself.
Yeah. And I looked at, I was like, okay, I can either make the excuse that I can't go because I didn't have a car, Uber didn't exist, couldn't have a cab.
Yeah, right.
I took the bus to school, so I couldn't take the bike on the school bus.
Right.
So I was kind of stuck and I just had to eat it. I had to eat 6.4 miles, 5 days a week.
That's like your pre-workout, right?
That was my way. And now I look at it like, oh, that's crazy. But back then I was that determined.
Yeah.
But on the walk, this is before like iPods were out, but they were dumb expensive. So it was just me and my thoughts. And I would make up stories. And all these stories, I was a superhero. I was kicking butt. I was knocking everyone out. I had all the money, all the cars, I had the best defense, I had all the jewelry. None of this was true. But I realized like the more highly I spoke about myself, the better I would do in the gym that evening. And the better I did in the gym that evening, I was like, oh, it's working. The more excited I was for the walk.
Yeah.
And 15 hours a week, I was just patting myself on the back, telling myself how amazing I was. The pendulum had swung.
Yeah, so you were like almost essentially reinventing yourself, right? By having more of a positive mindset.
And also reinvented myself because I started boxing in 11th grade. My senior year of high school, my parents moved from New York to Florida.
Wow.
And that's why my gym was 6 miles away from my high school. I still wanted to box.
Yeah.
But not only did I get to talk to myself as a winner and as this new person I never thought I could be, I was introducing myself to everyone for the first time. I could introduce myself as anyone as I want.
Yeah, nobody knows your past, right?
No, it's so much easier to rewrite our story when all the characters are new.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you're absolutely right because when you're around people that you know all the time, right? They know who Cam is, they know where he came from, they know at least as long as they knew you, right? But when you're meeting new people, right? Like literally you can be whoever you want to be. You can present the you that you want to present.
Yeah. When I was this unconfident kid in New York, and when we moved down to Florida, I just pretended to be this charming, loud, outgoing, funny guy. And everyone in Florida bought it.
And it worked.
Now it worked.
Yeah.
Now that I look back at it at 36, that was like half my life ago. And I'm like, oh, I didn't become funny and charming and this great. Like, I just thought I was. And I thought other people thought I was. So what was crazy was I got down to Florida. I was super outgoing. And then I got to walk in New York for
Hmm.
graduation, my old school. And
Nice.
I couldn't wait, not even not, bro. I just wanted to go to flex on them. Like I had
Yeah.
abs, I was in good shape.
Yeah,
Like I was
exactly.
this confident person. And the second I walked through those doors, I reverted back into that old, unconfident person I used to be.
Like it just hit you, huh?
Bro, it didn't make sense. Don't know why. I couldn't wait to leave New York. And I didn't go back to New York for almost 10 years, bro.
Wow. So did you stay in Florida then most of the time after that? Or I mean, I have to assume being the captain of Team USA Boxing, you've been all over the country, right?
Oh, all over the world, man. I've been to
Yeah.
over 30 countries.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I got to ask you, you said because you mentioned in your intro that you had 12 national titles. How does that even happen? I mean, that's got to be a lot of training, right?
Yeah. Here's what's really cool. I qualified I never made a team in sports. And within 2 years of just talking to myself like I was a shit constantly, within 2 years, I became the number one heavyweight in the country.
Wow.
And it happened because like I qualified for the Olympic trials first and I lost the first day. Pretty cool that I qualified. But all the boxers who qualified, they were all the top level guys. They all either quit or turned pro. And I realized if I don't quit or turn pro, I'm automatically the best. So often we expect to be good our first time around, but all the boxers that were new all looked at me as if I was from the past cycle of heavyweights, the last Olympic run. So they all looked at me as the guy to beat.
Yeah.
And I started to tell myself that story, and every other people believe that story as well. And I won people just expected me to win or I expect me to win all the time. And I won nationals in 2008, 9, 10, 11. 2012, I won the Olympic trials to represent the U.S. at super heavyweight.
That's awesome. So I mean, essentially recapping this, you walk into a boxing gym to protect yourself, right? Or to try to get some protection for yourself. And next thing you know, you're one of the most winning boxers in USA history. And so can you take us through that? Like how exactly did that happen? I know you're hitting this mindset, and you're hitting this positive mindset for you, but was that like really the thing that changed how everything happened for you, Cam?
Yeah, it was because, okay, so I'll share something that sounds a little crazy. I
Okay.
thought I had magic powers when I was growing up. So my mom had left me in the car. She went into the store real quick, and I was sitting in the front seat of the car. I remember it vividly. And there was a bird on a fence. And I was like, if I've got magical powers, that bird will poop right now. And bro, the bird pooped.
Yeah.
And you know how at the beginning of every superhero movie, first 20 minutes is the guy trying to figure out how to use the powers?
Yeah, like a discovery and then, hey, how do I use this, right?
I remember going through that and I realized that my superpower is I have one small wish a day. I have the power to change one small thing. It can't be something crazy, but like if I have a test, I would wish to pass the test. If I didn't study at all, I don't expect to get 100. I wouldn't wish for 100. That's not
Yeah,
realistic.
right.
But I would wish for like, oh, I hope I get a 73. And bro, more times than not, I get a 73. So I saw that as like a superpower. So when I started boxing, I was 16 and my buddy, he's also 16. He fought a guy with tattoos. My buddy was a way better boxer, but this was a 16-year-old with tattoos. And my buddy was like, oh my God, the guy I'm fighting's got tattoos. Is it even legal to have tattoos at 16? And I watched him freak himself out. and then lose a fight to a dude he can easily beat.
Just because just the visual appearance, right?
He told himself the story that he can't beat a 16-year-old with tattoos. And I was like, and if you understood how talented my friend is compared to this chump that he lost to, you'd understand. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm never going to let that be me. I'm just going to carry myself because if we're fighting each other, it's your reality versus my reality. If I'm fighting you, I realize I just need to convince you that I'm going to win. And I do that through my training. I do that through the way I walk into the room. And I do that in the way I'm very nice to you before we fight, as if I know something that you don't.
Yeah. It's like the psychological warfare that you're putting in there, right? On your opponents by sitting literally say, and I don't want to say fake it because obviously you've put some work in here, but some of us will say, hey, I'm going to fake it till I make it, and I mean, obviously you didn't fake it because it takes a lot to be a 12-time champion in boxing, especially. I mean, listen, I've never been in the ring and I see you guys, fight and I'm just like, I don't know how you could take a punch and do all these things that you do, but that is some dedication, Cam, for sure.
Yeah. In hindsight, it's when I watch a video of me fighting, I was like, oh, I used to do that. That's nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah, but when I was
you probably do be like, hey, you know what? I wouldn't. Would you do it now though, Cam? If you could, would you still
no,
fight?
no, definitely not. I
No,
have
you're done.
zero interest in any of that.
Yeah,
I didn't really like boxing that much in the first place. It was just I found I was very good at it, and also I got to travel around the world for free. It wasn't
yeah.
that bad,
No,
and I didn't hate it necessarily, but it wasn't like my passion. It was
yeah,
just like something I was good at.
yeah. See, something that you were good at, so you did it for a little while, and then until did this lead you to your next venture in life? Then, Cam,
Yeah, so I won the 2012 Olympic trials, and then I got kicked off the team.
what happened there? You want to share?
Yeah, so I left the country and didn't tell the drug testing agency, and they showed up to my house to give me a random drug test. Missed drug test, a positive drug test, even though I tested negative that same week to fight in Azerbaijan when I
Oh my
left the
gosh.
country.
So just because you missed it, it was considered a fail?
Yeah, and it was not even a real offense, but it was around the time Lance Armstrong went on Oprah,
So all the
and
doping stuff and all that was
they're
around, yeah.
they were cracking down on athletes for cilium fractures. But I had to eat that because I should have sent them that email. I got
Gotcha.
the minimum sentence of 1 year because there was no suspicion I was actually doing anything, and they had paperwork that I tested negative that same week. But I realized I lost there. I was like training for the Olympics were like a few months, and I lost everything. My
Wow.
sponsorships was my house, my car, my food. Like
So you literally went from the top and just because you weren't home, like literally fell to the bottom.
immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine that because, usually in people's lives, these downward turns kind of happen gradually, sometimes. But to sit there and say, okay, I wasn't home. I didn't, technically you didn't do anything wrong. You had a negative test the same week, which we all know if you're on drugs or doping, it's probably not going to happen. Right. But now because you missed that and that was the rule, you're out of boxing for a year and you just lost your livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I had to eat that. And first thing, hustle mode, try to make a little bit of money for myself. And then I realized all the resources I had and all the connections I had. Like if like I had something to promote, I'd just reach out to the news station and they'd give me airtime.
Yeah.
Gym memberships, just everything I got, I lost immediately because
Yeah, especially that time. If somebody would have heard that, oh, he missed a drug test or failed a drug test, they're probably think, oh, he's doping, and we don't want to be associated with that at all.
yeah. And so I realized there's something called athlete privilege. Remember back in high school, the star football player, he was a douche.
Yep,
He got in trouble, but he never got suspended because they had a game that evening.
exactly. And you know what's funny? Yeah, we had the same thing in my school system. We were big on softball for some reason, women's or female softball, and we had a couple of like the real good pitchers get busted with drugs, and they were supposed to be suspended. But next thing I know, they get, in school suspension, but not during the games. And it's like, yeah, so I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that treatment doesn't change in adult life.
Same thing, huh?
The same. I get opportunities as a speaker. I get on stages. I'm a comic. I perform in places. I date out of my league because I'm very good at a sport.
Yeah,
I lost that for a year.
man.
And I was in the rare position where I lost it, but I was still able to get it back.
Yeah,
Because after my year suspension, I returned to boxing. But then I'm like, okay, I need to be more than an athlete. I need to market myself as more than an athlete. Legally change my last name to Awesome. One, as a reminder to believe in myself. Two, I thought it was funny. Three, branding. And return to boxing, reclaim my spot as captain of the USA national team, won nationals every year. But as I was doing it, I started speaking and I started doing stand-up comedy because I realized athlete privilege is fleeting.
yeah. I
Wha-
mean, and you do think about it because you think, you too, like, I guess the NFL is probably the worst thing, right? Where you see these guys that play on NFL teams and then they get in trouble and so Cam, I'm from Ohio and the Cleveland Browns are my team. And we know more than
I'm
probably
sorry.
anybody. Yeah, I know exactly. We know what disappointment is. And even when we get good people, they seem to screw up and like fail drug tests and stuff, and then they're out for seasons. So listen, I know. But then you hear those stories sometimes too, right? About like the athlete getting pulled over doing 120 and they let him go and stuff like that. But yeah, you don't think about it much, but yeah, I could definitely see how that privilege could be there and how losing that could be detrimental, really, right?
Well, when you lose it, you don't just lose the privilege, you lose your identity.
Yeah.
Like I started boxing honestly for acceptance. Like I wanted to fit in, I wanted to be protected. And then it was basically, hey, love me. Look at all the things I've won. And then all those things went away and I had nothing to show for who I was.
Yeah. And so essentially that year when that happened, you kind of used that failure as fuel, didn't you?
Yeah. So again, with the stories, I was trying to get back because I'd gained a lot of weight and I was trying to get myself back in shape,
Hmm.
but I was embarrassed. I felt stupid. Imagine doing everything to go to the Olympics and then doing all of it right and forgetting to send an email.
Right. Well, just not sending an email. I mean, that blows my mind, right? You're sitting here thinking, hey, in any other, world, if you forgot to send it, they'd be like, okay, don't do that again, Cam. Right. But now
Yeah.
you're in and especially the time that you were in, it's like it just compounded on itself, didn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, you idiot, you fool, you dummy. And I was talking to myself way differently than I talked to myself on the way to the gym in school.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh, I need to start telling myself a different story to get myself to change my attitude or get myself out of the funk. And I figured it's hard to be down when your last name's Mr. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's when I saw your name, I was like, oh, this guy's got an awesome name.
Right?
But
It's the best word
yeah,
ever.
it
Yeah.
is. And I mean, just to see how you took that brand and that positive thinking of yourself and as a reminder, so you're like, listen, I'll never forget because my last name's awesome now.
Yeah. That was the idea behind it. But it's like, just because I think I'm awesome, I don't think anything less of you. I might
Yeah.
actually just think more of you. And I think other people should it's free to think highly of yourself. And that's usually connected to your internal dialogue is usually connected to your success.
Yep. And you know what? I've been hearing a lot more of this lately, about positive thinking and changing your mindset instead of going from, oh, I can't do this, to saying, yes, I can do this,
Oh,
you
I
know?
can tell you why. So, because there's people who say stories and your brain, so every religion is true. Everything you believe is real if you
Yeah.
believe it. So your reticular activating system, you, it's a filter in your brain. Your brain takes in billions of bits of information every moment, not every second, every moment, moment, a lot of information, math. So it filters through billions bits of information, but your conscious mind can't process it all. So it filters it through your reticular activating system. And it shows you from the billions of bits of information, it gives you about 35 bits of what it thinks you're already looking for. What you seek is what you find. If you say, hey, I'm Nathan and I am not capable of this, your brain will sort through the billions of bits of information and find the few bits of information to confirm that you're not capable.
To reinforce that thought.
To show
Yeah.
how it works, if you ever go shopping for a yellow car, you don't buy one, but after that, you start seeing yellow cars everywhere.
Right. Exactly.
It's why whichever car you happen to drive seems to be one of the most popular cars on the road.
Exactly. And a perfect example is like when I bought my truck, I knew Toyota Tacoma. I have a Toyota Tacoma, but I figured, hey, Tacomas are, I know that they're popular vehicles. They're out there. I never noticed them on the road till I started driving my own, though.
Yeah. So, and as soon as you notice, as soon as something's brought to your attention, you start to notice it. But look at the way we start our day with the news.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background, death, genocide, rape, murder, destruction. If you start your day subconsciously hearing these things, what do you think you're going to look for in real life?
You're right. You're going to start gravitating towards those things, aren't you? Towards the negative things, towards the negative mindsets. Yeah.
Unconsciously. Where you don't plant seeds, weeds will grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are not the first person I've heard say that. And I love that because those weeds, and I heard this analogy the other day, Cam, was those weeds, if you look at your lawn, let's just take a lawn, right? Grass, you got to nurture it. You got to water it, make sure it grows. But a weed can get in there and it doesn't take anything to grow, right? And it just grows and spreads and grows and grows. And when we let those brain weeds, that's what I heard them called the other day.
I like that.
When we give them, when we don't take away what they need, then they're just going to keep growing and getting everything going in
Yeah.
that negative
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
But you have to check yourself, especially as adults. Nathan, you're a grown man. Who's going to tell you to put your phone away?
Just my wife.
And that's why we need
right?
them.
That's why we need them. Exactly. But no, you're right. Nobody's going to, right?
Yes. So a lot of times we have to tell ourselves, like, okay, this app is too negative for me. It's not serving me. I have to remove myself from this.
Yes.
I'm in a group chat that everyone's just posting negative stuff. Then I don't really need to be in the group chat. And I don't have to be dramatic and leave.
Yeah.
Just mute it.
Just mute it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing like I've found over the years with social media. You start getting down these rabbit holes of these negative views, and then I have to stop myself, say, no, this is not where I want to go. It's ridiculous to see all the stuff that you could put out there now, and it could take you such in a negative path that, yeah, you have to separate yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes, so what sometimes you get caught in a negative algorithm, and my thing I like to do, I call it a puppy reset. I search golden retriever puppies and I go through and I like about 100 pictures of puppies. My algorithm, it's just puppy ads and just you get more puppies. And to me,
more of the
that's
things that you like. Yeah, exactly.
What else do you want?
Yeah. I love that. I love that you're a dog person too, that you go to puppies instead of cats. Not that there's anything wrong with cats, but no, I'm a huge dog
clearly
person.
Better.
No, but that's great though. And so how did you use your, for you, because obviously you've hung up the gloves now, right? And I don't mean, but professionally, right? You've hung up the gloves from that professional standpoint. And so now you're doing speaking. And so what is your speaking venture like?
Yeah. So after I became really good at boxing, I would go back to schools to talk about bullying, what got me involved in boxing in the first place. And I had been doing this for years. I would just, stop off at classrooms and eventually doing school-wide assemblies. And when I retired from boxing in 2016, I was like, this is what I'm going to do because I'm very passionate about it. And I was driving around the country in my Prius, speaking at schools, and totaled it. And I used the insurance money and I bought a van and I lived in my van for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an adventure.
I have to imagine, was it a camper van or was it just a van?
It was a Dodge Sprinter.
Okay.
And it was like those big Amazon vans almost.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a little sink that I've never turned on, by the way. Because if it gets cold, you have to drain it when it freezes. And I was like, I'll just never use it.
Right.
And I had a little bed. I had a little Wi-Fi router. And it was, I thugged it out. It was cool. Grassroots, building a business, learning from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleeping at Walmart parking lots. And
hey, I've been, my wife and I go camping, and when we go on long trips, that's usually what we do for like an overnight, is like stop at a Walmart or a Cracker Barrel or something like that. They usually let you, hang out around. So trust me, I know what it's like to be sitting in those parking lots, especially some Walmarts could be a little sketchy,
Bro, the sketchiest. And then you look around, you're like, who are these crazy people living out of their vehicle? And I was like, oh,
Oh
that's
wait, me.
me.
Exactly. But I have to assume you probably wouldn't change that experience for the world though, would you?
Oh no, no. That those three that those years living in the van, it was so cool. Like first, no one talks about how lonely that is.
Oh yeah.
Bro, that's the first when I took off, I was like, cool. And it was just like me. Yeah, it's lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're traveling by yourself. Yeah, I mean, like at least with me, when I go, I got my wife and my dogs with me, right? But you're
Yeah.
out there going to school, different schools throughout the entire country, so it's just you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to make friends all over the country. And I wouldn't take that experience back, but I've since become way too bougie to do that. You're not catching me sleeping in the van again. I made it, baby.
Heck yeah. It's so funny
I've got a
before.
bathroom where I sleep.
Yeah, but before I started camping with my wife, she was always like, "Oh, let's go tent camping." I'm like, "Listen, I own a home. I don't need to sleep on the ground." So eventually, though, she talked me into getting a camper where we got like, the bathroom and a sink and, bed and stuff. So I'm like, "All right, I can rough it that much."
Yeah.
It does it. I was like, "Does it have AC? Because I'm not going to sit and sweat."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm soft.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry. I'm a glamper, as they call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so are you still doing all this speaking now? Are you still speaking on bullying at schools and or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. I've since shifted into the corporate realm and I speak about the positive impact, the impact of a positive internal dialogue, the idea of mindset and resilience, and just using this because we all tell ourselves stories. And like which character do you play in the story you tell yourself?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point because what character do you play? You could play yourself, or like you said, you can reinvent yourself, which is
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I think everyone can. It's a lot easier if you change your environment, but with family and kids and school districts, hard to do sometimes.
Exactly.
But you could take small steps and actually you could just start removing people from your life that doesn't accept the new version of you. That's a lot easier. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people in this world. You don't got to hang out with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You don't. You can make your friend group, what it needs to be for you, you
And you're an
know?
adult. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're 8, you hang out with people who live down the block. You're an adult. Choose who you hang. Don't
Exactly.
hang out with people because of proximity. There's FaceTime.
Yeah, you're right. And it's so funny because since I started doing podcasting, like I've met people all over, literally all over the world and had them on the show. And, people that I can say we actually have a good, friendly relationship outside of the podcast. And that's one of the things that I love about doing these shows, Cam, is I get to meet interesting people like you. You had a story here. You were a normal kid growing up that faced bullying just like everybody else. But now you got an extraordinary story about how you were a national champ, were the captain of Team USA boxing because of this adversity that you faced as a child, but you were able to reinvent yourself and share that now with thousands of other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's just basically through the stories I told myself, and just, I've never been a victim in any of the stories.
Yeah. And that's a good way to be because a lot of us are. And nowadays it seems like we're very easy to go to that victim card, isn't it?
Bro, 2012, I had my pity party. That's why I gained all the weight. And then eventually you look around and you realize no one cares. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, people care about you, but there's only so much they can do. And pity doesn't help you.
No.
And I figured I was like, okay, I can make myself even more sad and even feel more pathetic so I can get more pity, or I can eat it, take the accountability for it, which was not easy to do. And then returning to boxing, I was the athlete rep for the drug testing organization for the Olympics because I
You,
just don't like the way they do things.
yeah.
They're working on things and they're doing better. But I had to eat that, and I had to realize like, oh, I can keep saying the story where I'm the victim in the story and I can get pity, or I can accept the consequence, realize this is now a chapter in my story. I'm going to be the dude that got kicked off the Olympic team. But the cool thing is, as long as you're not dead, there's another chapter to be written. You have control over how that unfolds.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, Cam, because and even I had a guest on earlier that um that talks kind of the same things with you, that he faced adversity and addiction and then ended up in jail, but now he actually goes to prisons to teach those folks that are incarcerated that, listen, this doesn't have to be the end of the road for you. Eventually you're going to get out and you can better yourself and become a more productive member of society when you're out. So it's great to see that there's people out there like you that are really trying to teach people, hey, you don't have to be the victim and you can make your life what you want it to be.
Yeah, and I don't say that to minimize anyone who's been victimized.
No, no, no. And
You
me
can have
either. Let
been
me clarify.
victimized, but you're
Yes.
still not a victim. It's more of a mindset where I feel like I have control of my future and my destiny. And whether that be true or not, it's the best way to think.
Yeah, and that's such a great way to live because there's so many of us out here that think that we have no control over our destiny, and we get stuck in those negative thoughts. And one bad thing happens, right? And then that leads generally to another bad thing. And then we just let those things compound instead of changing our trajectory.
Yeah. But if you could take accountability for the bad things that happened and eat that and hold on, knowing eventually when good things can happen, you also take responsibility for the good things that happen. And that feeling is so good.
It's so much better than the victim or the bad part of it, right?
But delayed gratification.
Yeah, it is. And it's so funny that you bring that up because I think that's one of the biggest things. You probably see it, you look at social media and everybody's saying, "Oh, they did this to me," or "They did this to me." And it's that accountability piece, Cam. And I
Yeah.
think that's a big piece that a lot of us miss is that, and it can be, not part of it could be like 90% someone else's fault, but most likely there's probably some accountability we need to take for something that happened.
It don't got to be your fault for it to be your responsibility.
Yeah. Because if it's affecting me, it's my responsibility, right?
Yeah. I One thing that I see, like, so I have a Facebook account just for business reasons. But I deactivated I reactivated my personal account because I was looking for like old boxing pictures for LinkedIn
Oh, yeah.
posts. And I haven't been on Facebook in years. And I got to see everyone who was arguing about stuff back in 2016
Yeah.
and just interacting with people from the same town they live in. They're all still doing that. Well, not all of them, but I scrolled
Yes.
for a little bit. It was like going down memory lane. And I realized we are the same people with more clarity in our phones. Like you could just see people create the same pattern. I'm like, why do you keep falling into the same thing? Well, maybe you're around the same people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think that's Cam, from your experience, has that been one of the hardest things that you've seen as people try to distance themselves from others in their life that maybe aren't bringing value?
I'll share this. There was a point in my life where I realized someone was removing me from their life to make their life better. And I didn't really see, because I hear people say that.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, you should remove yourself from certain people. And I was the person someone was removing myself from. And this is before I was sober and they were trying to live more of a sober life. And I was like, it didn't feel good. Didn't feel good because I knew what was happening. I was like, okay. So now I'm able to do it with even more empathy now. But when I separate myself from people just because maybe I don't like their lifestyle or we're just into different things now, and basically that person outgrew me.
Gotcha. And did
And
they outgrow
yeah.
you or did they grow at just a different rate than you did?
I definitely outgrew me.
Outgrew you?
I was outside.
Okay.
I was outside being ratchet.
I think we've all been there a time or two, right, Cam?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So, Cam, for when you go around to speak to folks, and I know you're doing it now in the corporate realm, what are some of the things that you like to talk about in your speeches?
Just the concept of if you can fail without being discouraged, success becomes inevitable. We don't quit when we fail. We quit when we get discouraged. And a lot of us get discouraged before we even start. So we don't. So what I want to do is I want to offer people hope because you just need to convince someone not to quit a little bit longer. And
Yeah.
if they don't quit a little bit longer, they'll gain enough experience to probably figure it out. And I mean, I've owned three guitars and I can't play music. And it's because I just stopped trying. But if you're actually passionate about something and you're willing to suck at it enough, you'll get better. My theory in boxing, I wasn't the most athletic person. The reason why I got so good at boxing so quickly is I realized your record doesn't matter. How good you are does. So boxer A has 100 boxing matches. Boxer B has 3 boxing matches. They were to fight. You're betting on boxer A.
Yeah. He's got the experience, right?
You don't even know boxer A's record, and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
He could be
Because
5 wins and 95 losses.
yeah. Yeah. But he's still got more experience in that ring than the person with 3.
Okay, how do you go about taking your first loss and knowing you have 94 more to take?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. So how do we do that, Cam?
What are you judging your success by? Is it based off the record or based off how good you are? Because that's what I had to figure out. And after I got my first 100 boxing matches, I had more fights than everyone, and my fights became a lot easier. But I had to eat that bullet up front.
Yeah. That's a big bullet to eat, isn't it? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it's getting punched in the
especially
face.
yeah, especially for 100 round, 100 matches, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I can't even imagine what my face would look like at this point if I, probably took as many punches as you have over the years, Cam.
Luckily, I was very defensive oriented.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta keep the moneymaker in check, right?
Yeah, there's only one dude who doesn't know there's a punch drunk dude in the room.
Yeah. No, and that's great, but how do you help people get out of that mindset, of that negativity, or that, like you said, you don't look at your record, look at your, that you're good. How do we transition from the negative to the positive?
I think I was able to get past not going to the Olympics when I took accountability for not going. Once I realized that I didn't deserve to go, because if you do all the things, then you deserve to go. If you don't do one of those things, you don't deserve it. I find so often in life we're afraid to tell ourselves we don't deserve something, but when we don't get it and we're like, "Well, I deserved it and I didn't get it," then it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason why you didn't get the thing you wanted. But if you could admit your shortcomings and say, okay, X, Y, and Z is the reason why I didn't get this thing. If I go back the second time and I do X, Y, and Z, this time I'm definitely going to have it.
Yeah, so, and
It's,
so it's like you really have to kind of reflect on the situation in a whole and look at those areas where you could take accountability and say, you know what, maybe if I would have done this or this or this would have been better. So next time I go for it, I know I'm going to, make sure that I hit these things.
yeah. When you think about it, it's like, here's a good way to put it. We all have a negative person in our life. We all do. Take a second, think of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, does that person think they're negative? How do you know you're not that person?
Yeah, I could very easily be that person.
So it's like, how do you see something that you can't see? And I think if you're stumbling in life or you feel like you're stuck, there has to be something you can't see. And if you can observe someone in your life that they're in a situation where they clearly can't see something, you're not special. There's something you can't see either. That's where you get advice from someone, whether it be a coach or a mentor or a friend. Blindly take their advice. Who knows? You might think it's stupid, it might not work, but what you're doing isn't working either.
Yeah, you're right.
Check your blind spots.
Man, that's such great advice, because you're absolutely right. We sit there and think about what's positive and what's negative, but what about the stuff we don't know about? Because we can't easily see it,
Yeah.
And that's
I'm the king, bro. I'm the king of that. I am. My lack of awareness is probably a part of a lot of my success.
You know what though? If it works, I'm just gonna say if it works, hey, let's keep it going because I'll tell you what, being in a negative mindset and staying in that mindset is not the way to be. And just, like I could see how, you having your positive mindset, especially how you brought it up, just, a simple step probably for folks would be wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm gonna have a good day today. You
I'll
know?
do you one better. Every morning I wake up and I write a list of 10 things I'm grateful for.
I love that.
I never repeat anything on the list for the most part. And this conversation will make my list tomorrow. And I basically start my day with 10 things that's going right. And when I go throughout my day, what do you think I'm more likely to see?
Yeah, the things that if you're focusing on the positive to begin with, that's what you're going to see. It's we're coming back to the car thing, right? With the, if
Nathan,
I'm looking for a yellow,
yeah, we often create the hell we exist within.
I agree with you. I mean, 1,000%, 1,000,
Yeah.
because I can't tell you how many hells I've created for myself.
Yeah. Sometimes there's been points in my life where I looked around at my life and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm responsible for all this.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nice though because when you get to a point, load like you said, like hey, I'm bougie now, right? You're not living in the van every day, but
Yeah.
it's like that's something to be that's an accomplish too because you know what you like and you're living how you want to live. You know what I mean? And that's just it just amazes me how powerful just a positive thinking can really affect your life. And I mean, you're sitting here as a perfect example for it. For a guy who got suspended to coming back, and being the captain of the US, boxing team again after you had that downfall. And most people probably once they had that downfall, maybe would have never come back, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought of it like, okay, this happened. I can't unwrite it.
Right.
But so even if I thought, so that was 2012, if I called that chapter 12, I know there's going to be a chapter 16.
Mhm.
Okay. If I'm alive, there's going to be a chapter 16. What I do during chapter 13, 14, 15 determines chapter 16. And if I can will myself to do all the things to have my storybook ending, then it will bring me joy. That's what I work towards. And for me, that was the 2016 Olympics. And I won nationals every year. I won the 2016 Olympic trials. And then I didn't qualify for Rio and didn't get to go.
Yeah.
Part of the game.
Yeah, that's still such a tough I mean, training that much and being that good, right? And you were good because if you made the Olympic trials, right, you're good. I mean, hate to not like I'm telling you something you don't know, but and
Yeah.
then to get all that way and it's I mean, yeah, but then to come back from that even and say, you know what, I'm not gonna let this little fault, this little blip define the rest of my life. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. I will say, after I didn't go to the 2016 games, by the way, I had Netflix like following me around for years, documenting it from 2013 to 2016. Like all my friends knew, everyone knew, thought it was televised, and I lost. And coming back to Kansas City, man, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, I have to yeah. Wow.
Why do you
I can't
think,
imagine that.
bro? I lost July 4th, 2016. And July 9th, I was in Arizona. I lost in Argentina. July 9th, I was in Arizona at the National Speakers Association because I went right into like, okay, I'm going to be a speaker. I was doing anything to avoid being in Kansas City and being around everyone who knows I didn't go to the Olympics. That's why I was in my Prius driving around the country speaking at schools. Like,
You're trying to avoid the reality, right?
bro, yeah, you exist in the reality you create. I just changed my reality. I changed my location.
Yeah, you know what? And that's a way to deal with it too. But not only that, you didn't change your location just to change your location, but you went out and did something with that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to be sad, like if you're going through a heartbreak, like, or whatever, you might as well be productive when you're sad
Yeah.
because you're already unhappy. You might as well be productive on unhappy because you're already uncomfortable. Just do the thing you don't want to do anyway. Because, like, I think there's like pockets of life, there's the ups and downs and ups and downs. When you're down and things suck, stay inside, avoid people, work even harder. Eventually, you'll get out of that valley. And on your way up, the highs are going to be higher because you dedicated yourself to something.
Yeah. I love that, Cam. That is such great advice for our listeners and for me, for everybody, because you're right. We can wallow in that stuff, but we have to decide to pick ourselves up, go to the next chapter, and do what we know we're capable of. And then sometimes even do things that we may not know we're capable of, but just get that mindset, right?
Yeah, you're only as great as you think you are. Like, it's no coincidence that you're as successful as you are. We are as successful as we expect to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that person had good luck or this person had that." And like I joke and say, my family motto is if we didn't have bad luck, we wouldn't have any luck at all. And so I'm always like everything that I do, I work hard for and I try to get there. And I can look at everything, around me, material, friendships, and know that I had a positive impact and it was because that's what I wanted. That's what I have. You know what I mean? And I strove for that and put the work in for it. And I think that's the biggest thing is people realize nothing's going to fall in your lap, right, Cam? You weren't going to become a 12-time national boxing champion by just sitting there and doing podcast interviews, right? You still had to put in the work.
Yeah. And I was very confident going into the ring because, like, and here's how you become confident in whatever aspect of life you're trying to gain confidence in. Think about what would a person have to do to walk around as if they're that confident? What would they have to do to deserve to walk around with that confidence? And for me with boxing, it was walking 6 miles to the gym. Nathan, if we're going to the ring, you didn't do what I did to get here. In my mind, you don't deserve to win. When I step in the ring, I like when I step in the on stage. I did 1,000 speaking engagements before even moving to the corporate world. I'm not shy on stage and I know how good I am. And I walk around with that confidence because what would someone have to do to be that confident? Possibly, Nate, live in their van for years
Yeah.
and go around doing a bunch of hole in the wall gigs. But you have to, if you want to be that dude, you have to do what that dude does.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's not just going to fall in your lap. And I mean, I think that's the good thing here is that positive mindset, thinking what you want to be, and believing that, but then also putting in that work. It's kind of a two-pronged effort, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You have to. It's an equation in my mind. 1 + 2 = 3.
Mhm.
In this equation, you are one. It's your belief in yourself. One plus the hard work. 1 + 2, and number two is named number two because it's the crappy part of the job.
Yeah,
No
right.
one wants to do the hard
I
work.
like it.
1 + 2 = 3. 3 is the goal, the outcome, the objective. You believing in yourself plus the hard work, you can achieve any goal. The only thing you can't add to that equation is emotions. I don't care about your emotions because goals don't care about your emotions.
You're right.
Maybe your mom does, society will, but as a
Yeah.
person, I tell you, no one cares about your feelings. Shut up, keep trucking. Like,
Yeah,
actual
it's
real
so
mental health
funny.
issues, yeah, get that taken care of.
Yeah.
But you're just feeling bad for yourself, keep it moving.
Yeah, don't get caught in that pit for sure, because we can all get caught in that pit. And once you go down that rabbit hole, it is so hard to get out of, and to take accountability for your actions, take account or inactions, right? Take accountability for the work that you want to put in, because the only person that's going to get you to where you want to be is you.
Yeah, I agree. And you got to look out for you. And so, what are you consuming? I'm big on personal development. I will listen to a podcast, I'll get someone's advice, and I'll throw 99% of it away. Don't even take all of my advice. What I'm saying works for me. I don't know what works for you. It's your job as an adult to figure out what works for you, but what you learn from as many people as you can. Like, read books and hear crazy concept. At the end of the chapter, do the thing they tell you to do. Do you know how many books I've read and I just don't do that thing?
Right, exactly. You just sometimes, and I know sometimes you get into that road where you're like, oh, I'm reading a book, and then you just forget why you're reading it. Well, I would have learned from this, so maybe I should pay attention. You spent the money on the book, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but yeah, if you're going to spend the money on the book and spend your time, which is worth money, right? You might as well get something out of it.
Yeah. Also, shout out to libraries, like public libraries. People are not appreciating these treasures enough. So, what I like to do is I like to go to Barnes and Noble. They
Hmm.
have great book. displays, way better than any library. And then I use Barnes and Noble's Wi-Fi to reserve books from the library.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love that.
They're not always there, but like 75% of the time they're there. You might not get it right away, but that's okay. You don't need the book right away. There's also audiobooks
Mm-hmm.
through the public library. So there's just a lot of resources out there for anything that you want to do. So there's no excuses. It's
No.
all about execution now.
It's great that you brought up the library, Cam, because I was having thoughts. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go off topic here for a little bit, and I'm glad you brought that up though, because we recently had a levy. Everything runs on property taxes here in Ohio, pretty much, So the local library system for Akron, Ohio, Akron Summit County, wanted to put on a levy to improve the library system, to improve buildings, things like that. And part of my question was, do people still use the library? I haven't been to the library probably in 6 years. That's just me. Now I buy a lot of books online. I get a lot of stuff through Kindle, but and I realize a lot of people don't have a ton of money to spend on books, but I'm glad you brought that up because that reaffirms to me that people still use the library.
So, it's
and
crazy
we should
that
use
people
it.
don't. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like looking at, some of the books behind me here on the shelf. And I'm like, I bought all these and I'm like, I probably only maybe read them once. And I could have probably went and got to the library. I could have walked to the library and got it for free.
Yeah. So I'll get a book from a library, and if I love the book, I'll then buy it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that though.
There's a lot of duds where I get a book, I crack it open, I'm like, this ain't for me.
Yeah, maybe get a chapter or two in, and you're like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Like, here's something. Kenan Thompson from Saturday Night Live. I got his book because I love him as like a person, and I wanted to know more about his story. And so I bought his book. And it's actually about him being a dad. I don't have kids. I got 3 pages into this book. I checked the middle of it. I was like, oh, he's still talking about being a dad. I'm out. But
yeah, you're like, put that on the shelf until maybe later on in life, right, Cam? If you ever decide to get kids.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, Cam, I want to switch gears just a little bit. I got a little rapid fire question segment that I call Dude Q&A. Just going to be some quick, simple questions. And, you just answer them the best you can, and we'll just roll through them. Sound good?
Yeah, just a dude talking to a dude.
That's right. Just a dude playing another dude, right? Yeah. Have you ever seen Tropic Thunder?
Yeah. Just a dude playing another dude.
All right. So for you, and you're a vegan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your favorite cheat meal as a vegan? Or is there even such a thing?
Yeah, there is. Well, my favorite cheat meal, right now I've started making these sweet potatoes. So basically sweet potatoes, paprika, garlic pepper, and maple syrup in the oven for maybe about 40 minutes at 450. And it's almost like a mashed potato, but it's like sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And some cinnamon. Yeah.
Man, that sounds good. I like that. Yeah. I could get behind that, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. One punch, if any, you wish you could take back.
One punch I wish I could take back. I've never been asked that. Yeah. There was a guy named Andrew Shepard. He was in the Army. We were fighting in 2007, and I was outpointing him. I was looking fabulous. And he would throw a right hand, and I would duck, and I'd throw an uppercut. And he'd throw a right hand, I'd duck, and throw an uppercut. And throw a right hand again, and I duck and throw an uppercut. This is a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And he throws the right hand, I go throw the uppercut, but then he throws a hook. Bro, when I say this man hit me so hard.
Yeah, you probably went from, oh man, I'm going to beat the wheels off this guy. And then he hit you with that hook, right? And you rattle your cage.
He hit me. And then my coach, I was laying on my back, and my coach was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, why? He said, you got dropped. And obviously I thought it was a slip because I don't remember even being hit. So I got up, I wiped my gloves, finished the fight, won clearly. And after, everyone was like, man, you have so much heart. We didn't think you were going to get back up.
Wow. So you didn't even realize it was, you knew it was a hard hit,
bro,
right? But you didn't know it was that hard.
This fight was in June. In October, This fight was in June in Denver. In October in San Antonio, I finally saw the footage. It took me that long to realize that man hit me that hard.
Wow. Well, so that was the one thing where you got used to a pattern, right? The way things were going, and he got used to your pattern, right? Because he was like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, every time I throw a right, this guy he dodges it and then throws an uppercut." So the last time he did it, he's like, "I'm going to switch things up."
Yeah, he
And
did. That was a good call on his part.
yeah,
Touche, my guy.
yeah. But hey, you know what? It's good that you can look back and say, "Man, that's the one." That right there. But yeah, awesome. I'm glad I was the first one to ask you that question.
Yeah.
So for you, Cam, best advice you've ever got? Can you pinpoint it?
Yes. Don't have kids yet.
That's, you know
And
what? That is great advice, especially when
and
you're
the
younger.
reason the reason why it was great advice is it allowed me to be able to take risks in my life that I wouldn't been otherwise been able to.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine if you were a dad at that point when you're boxing, right? And because then all of a sudden now you got a whole nother set of priorities you got to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. And living in a van, taking these chances that I took, I live recklessly, bro. You just know the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
Like,
there's so much underneath.
wow. And the thing is, I do that because I have a buddy named Matt. He knows if shit ever hits the fan, I'm sleeping on his couch. When I got kicked off the Olympic team, they gave me one flight anywhere. I flew to Kansas City. That's where Matt lives. Then I lived on Matt's couch for a while. I'll go back. I will swing for the fences every single time because I've got Matt's couch to sleep on.
That's awesome.
But if you have children, do not take my advice. I'm a crazy person.
Exactly. And I'm sure Matt may not take you on the couch if you were to have 2 or 3 kids with you, right?
Yeah, yeah. He would, but he wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm totally sure. But all right, Cam. So what's the most awesome thing about Cam Awesome?
Ooh, it doesn't. I'm willing to change my mind. That's what I realized is like my superpower. Uh,
And that is so hard for someone to admit and even realize to do, especially in today's era, Cam, when you see especially when you look at like political divisiveness, throughout the country, to sit there and say, I can change my mind, because most people are so set in their ways that they don't have an open enough mind to hear alternative opinions or views.
yeah, people are stuck in their echo chambers.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah. Yes.
but the thing is, my favorite people in life, I disagree with them wholeheartedly.
Oh my gosh. Me too.
Yeah, those are my favorite people though.
Yeah, because I love talking to people that have a different opinion than me, because it lets me know that I'm human, and then I can see where maybe I might have the view wrong, or vice versa,
Yeah.
and we come to it's just I like being challenged, and if someone's just going to regurgitate the same thing that I'm going to say, I might as well just stand in the mirror and talk to myself, right?
Yeah, and I'm way better looking.
Yeah. I love that. All right, one last question for you. Hopefully this hasn't been too bad, but one goal you're chasing for the rest of 2025.
Ooh, all about abundance. It's what I write the last thing I write in my journal, last sentence of my journal, every page. I realize the more I get in life, the more I realize I'm able to get in life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much more available to me now, I'm realizing, than I had thought was available to me 20 years ago. And I realized the only thing changed was my mindset and the idea of abundance. So instead of thinking, oh, I want to book 10 gigs, I think, oh, I want 100 gigs because I can get 100 gigs. And let's say I get to 70 and I fall short. That's still 7 times more than the original number.
Yeah.
So I believe in setting bigger goals.
I love that. And, in today's world, I think a lot of us sit here and think, okay, well, maybe I'll just do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, when we don't realize that, no, we can do a lot. We have that potential in us to do a lot. So don't hamper ourselves, within our own mindset.
Yeah, like think about, everyone knows an entitled person, right? And the
Yes.
problem we have with that entitled person is they think they should get all the things they want. And what's crazy is that person usually gets it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We're
And
mad at them because they think they deserve something.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And that's what I love about having you on here today, Cam, is that positive mindset, seeing it not as a negative, but literally as a positive, because, like I said, I don't like using the term fake it till you make it. But a lot of us, if you can have that positive mindset, then you can be better at anything that you do.
You're speaking something into existence. What is it?
Yes, exactly. I love it. I love it. And all right, well, Cam, that was the last of the questions. I know we're getting up to about an hour here, but you really dropped some serious wisdom today. And
Promise.
that's right. Like I feel like I'm ready to dodge life's jabs and come back swinging now. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
I feel like it. But where can our dudes and dudettes that are in the audience? Where can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you at?
Craigslist misconnections, bro. No, camfawesome.com or at camfawesome on all social media platforms because I'm not famous enough for someone to try to take my name yet.
I wish that were true. Someone out there is now like, oh man, I got to go find some platform Cam's not on and make it pay for it. No,
It's going to be a middle schooler.
no, but that's Cam. Thank you. That's awesome. And just so you know, and the listeners know, on justadudepodcast.com, Cam's going to have a guest page there. So all of your links will be there for everybody to see, your website, your photo, everything will be there. So Just a Dude Podcast, but camfawesome.com is your website. And please go check them out. You can even probably book you for a speaking gig if they want to, right, Cam?
Yeah, yeah. Hit me up. I'm outside.
Absolutely. And I think, as you can see today, if you want someone that's going to bring the energy and bring a good positive mindset to your business, to whoever it may be, Cam he's going to be the guy. I'm telling you what, this has been a great podcast interview, Cam. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, that's it for this round of Just a Dude podcast. I want to give a big thank you to Cam Austin for bringing the heat to the show today. Go check him out at camfawesome.com. If you enjoyed this show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Also, don't forget we're on all social media platforms so we can continue this conversation there. Until next time, thanks for joining us, and keep being awesome, dudes and dudettes.